insights from the startup space. Biotech company Enzene Biosciences raises $50 million from Alcon Laboratories and new investors, 8 Road Ventures and F Prime Capital. The company will use the funds to enhance manufacturing capabilities and expand in both India and the US.
EV startup Bounce Infinity raises $20 million in funding from its existing investors, including Sequoia, sources have told CNBC-TV18. The company has already received the first tranche of this funding round.
BharatPe paid a salary of 1.69 crore rupees to its co-founder and managing director Ashneer Grover in FY22, while his wife Madhuri Jain Grover, who was former head of controls at the company, took home 63 lakh rupees. According to its financial statement filed with the registrar of company, its former CEO Suhail Samir took home 2.1 crore rupees in FY22.
SaaS firm Zoho reports a consolidated net profit of 2,700 crore rupees in FY22, up nearly 43% year-on-year on the back of a rise in revenues from its enterprise IT management software business. The firm's revenue from operations was up 28% to 6,711 crores in FY22 from 5,230 crores in FY21 as per filings with the ROC.
EdTech unicorn PhysicsWallah plans to hire 2,500 new employees across verticals within the first quarter of 2023. The firm is hiring faculty members as well as professionals for roles like business and data analysts, counselors, operation managers, batch managers, teachers, among others.
After sacking 11,000 employees in November last year, Meta founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg has now put middle managers at the company on notice. According to The Verge, Zuckerberg warned managers at a recent all-hands meeting the company may sack more employees this week.
A former Google employee sues the tech giant, claiming he was fired after he rejected a woman boss's alleged advances at a company dinner. Ryan Olowen accuses Google of firing him after one of its top executives, Tiffany Miller, groped him at a Chelsea restaurant in December 2019, according to a blockbuster November federal lawsuit filed in Manhattan, as reported by the New York Post.
Chinese internet search major Baidu is planning to launch an AI chatbot service similar to OpenAI's ChatGPT in March, Reuters reported. The firm plans to launch the service as a standalone application and gradually merge it into its search engine.
Those are the headlines we are tracking for you this evening. According to a recent Niti Aayog report, 7.7 million workers were engaged in the gig economy during 2020-2021, constituting 2.6% of the non-agricultural workforce and 1.5% of the total workforce in India. As the gig economy continues to surge, industry leaders are calling on the government to step in and take action and provide the support through incentives and legislation to ensure the prosperity and sustainability of the vital sector that supports millions of workers. So what does the gig economy sector want from Budget 2023? Joining me now to discuss this is Saurabh Tandon, co-founder and group COO of Better Place, and Praveen Saha, co-founder and CTO of Avigna. Also joining us is my colleague Ritu. Gentlemen, welcome to Startup Street. Saurabh, let me start with you. In the last budget, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced the launch of Desh Stack, which is an e-portal for skilling online. Saurabh, how impactful has it been for the space, and what more can be done from a policy point of view? What are you wishing for?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Shruti. The Desh Stack portal was I would say, the first significant step to formalize what is generally an ignored part of the frontline workforce management, which is skilling. Skilling linked to employability and the ability of the person to upskill and grow within the organization. So I think with the launch of the Desh Stack, we were able to create a value chain from skilling to employment. And I think it's logical that in this budget, we should focus more on scaling it. Scale can be done in many ways, but I think there are two specific suggestions. One is incentivizing the use of APIs. So while the government has created this open API network, which can be used by employers to employ skilled workforce, look for skilled workforce in the Desh Stack, the enterprises today are not really incentivized to use these APIs, right? So I think that's one thing that we can figure out in terms of alignment of incentives. Secondly, while these APIs have been used to employ, they're not being used to skill, right? So there's a gap there that we definitely see. In fact, the private companies have a fairly low share of providing skilling courses, which means they are contributing to courses into the Desh Stack, right? So I think that's the piece that needs to be addressed as well. I also think making skilling second nature, right? If you look at frontline workforce, which is basically jobs where people earn 15, 20, 25, 30,000 rupees a month, um, a lot of times the skill requirements for these jobs are pretty hazy. And enterprises typically are saying, give us
Sure.
people and we'll figure out how to skill them, right? So I think accessibility to the Desh stack has to become much easier, even
Okay.
for the individual that's looking for a job. And I think we also felt that the courses that are available on the Desh stack can be made a little bit more intuitive
All right.
for everyone to be able to access it, right? So I
Okay.
think these are a couple of things, one from an enterprise lens that's looking to employ people, and one from the job seeker lens.
All right, quickly moving on to Praveen now. Praveen, tell me what's on your, top of your wish list. What should be the priority of the policy when looking at the gig economy?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. So the first thing which comes to me is the proper definition of the gig workers. Like we have been talking numbers like 7.7 million and also 23.5 million by 2030. So, but the problem we face is the proper definition, because we are working at a scale where we have to define who is a gig worker, and especially when it comes to providing them benefits, benefits like a minimum wage, or benefits like insurance, retirement plans. So all these requires a proper definitions. We have a huge amount of gig workers on our platform. Can we offer this benefit to everyone or not? So that's the first point. And with that comes the second point, which is benefits. So as government has already been doing, they had this launched in the previous budget of social security, the code for social security and all. Once we have the definition, we can offer those social security. And with that comes the third part, which is the e-Shram portal, which again government launched in the previous budget, which was around a central database. So once we have a central database where we can have availability of those gig workers, as well as we as a companies, because these gig workers, they work with multiple companies, and we as a company can also contribute to that database and kind of create something similar to a civil, like we can add points information about those people, how skilled they are, how not skilled they are. So we need something around that central database as well. So yeah, these are my priorities, and at the end, obviously the skilling is one important thing, which they again tried earlier, and Sora also talked about it. Skilling of those, finding the gaps. We have been investing a lot in making them job ready. We work with different clients to provide these gig workers, but we are putting our efforts, resources to skill these people. If government can do more in terms of skilling these people, so that will be the major contribution.
Praveen, point taken. Hi, this is Ritu. Saurav, let me come to you as well, because there's been this issue of investments to accelerate employment for gig workers on one hand, and also policy-friendly schemes to encourage small enterprises, which are in turn employing these workers. What exactly are you hoping for? Something along the lines of, more government investment in PLI schemes to ensure this, or, what is your expectation?
Sure, Ritu. So I think investment in PLI schemes is critical, right? No two ways about it. It's needed to generate employment. I think a good use case we've seen in the last month or so is what the numbers that are now coming out on the manufacturing segment, right? With a lot of PLI linked schemes. Apple's a great example how they have been shifting a significant part of their supply chain in India, in a lot of states in south of the country as well, I think in Gujarat, right? So I think, especially in the current macroeconomic situation, it is certain that the government will continue to invest in these schemes because we can clearly see how it's linking to economic productivity, right? I think what the ecosystem needs to do is be ready to meet this demand. And I think here technology can play a very key role in this endeavor. I would say, so that's the positive, which is, let's focus on PLI, continue to do that, push that out into more segments. What right now is lacking to some extent in terms of investment is accelerating employment of gig workers, is basically the sort of digital infrastructure, right? If you look at the digital infrastructures that have scaled in the last half a decade, right, whether it's the Aadhaar stack, whether it's UPI, I think what's lacking, and I'm sure the gentleman with me from Avigna can probably give more inputs into this, is basically setting up a very vertically integrated digital infrastructure for gig workers. And that means, all the way from sourcing workers, skilling them, creating the incentives, creating basically the benefits, et cetera, that I'm sure we'll talk about, having a common platform. I think that's something which we should think about, the government should think about investing in. And obviously players like us, which create similar systems, but more on the private side, can be big contributors in that.
All right, Saurav and Praveen, unfortunately, we've run out of time, so we're going to leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining in with what you're expecting for the gig economy, from the upcoming union budget in just a couple of days from now. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
All right, moving on the hot seat today, we have Rigi, a platform which allows creators and influencers to grow, manage and monetize their communities. That recently raised 100 crore rupees as part of its Series A extension funding. The round was led by Elevation Capital with participation from Axel, Stellaris, Sequoia, and it also saw participation from angels such as Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Kunal Shah of Tread, among others. With the closing of this round, the company has raised close to $25 million across 3 rounds in 14 months since inception in 2021. To talk about the road ahead at Rigi, joining me now is its co-founder Swapnil Saurav. Swapnil, welcome to Startup Street. Quickly, if you could take me through your offerings and Rigi's USP. Also, if you could tell us by how much has it been able to increase earnings for its creators?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the program. Rigi is a SaaS platform for creators and influencers and provides them with an end-to-end ecosystem to manage their community with a focus on monetization. We have created a suite of tools such as subscription management, paid courses, live workshops, and paid one-to-one interaction. This allows creators to focus on scaling and better engage with their audience instead of spending time on managing operation or creating technology, both of which require large investment. On average, creators earning doubles after 6 months of joining the platform.
Okay. Swapnil, if you could take me through your tech edge as well, how does Rigi gather hints of user behavior that indicate willingness to pay in return for an influencer's content? How do you build your influencer roster as well?
So our tools are designed in a platform agnostic manner. A creator can have a community on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, etc., and can use our tools to monetize them, which was not possible before us. We are not a user discovery platform, so we don't enable discovery of creators to users, something which platforms like YouTube and Instagram do. If a creator has following anywhere, then they can use our tools to engage with their community.
All right. So like you said, users are now willing to pay creators for personalized advice rather than relying on a generic one-size-fits-all approach. So while you're helping creators earn more, tell me how you're making money, what is your revenue model, and how much are you charging users?
So there is no upfront fee for anyone to become a creator.
Okay.
Once a creator starts earning on the platform, we take an approx 5% cut of their earning as our service fee. That's the only revenue model as of now.
All right. Swapnil, Rigi has grown 40x in the last 12 months. Tell me what has led to this bullish growth and any interesting trends that you're seeing. Also, if you could take us through your business growth numbers.
Yeah, so creators were monetizing before us also, but we're doing it in a manual way, which was not scalable. Using our tools, they have been able to focus on their content more. And since everything is enabled via tech at our end, scalability is not an issue anymore, and that has led to the growth. We currently work with 10,000 plus creators across 30 plus categories such as education, gaming, health, fitness, skill development, and others.
Swapnil, like I mentioned before, Rigi has recently raised 100 crore rupees in its Series A extension round. You raised 76.5 crores previously. Take me through your fund allocation plans and what new categories and geographies are you eyeing?
So we will use the fund to create more tools for creators to make their life easier, and we'll also expand to other geographies. We have recently started operation in Indonesia and plan to expand to other South Asian countries in 2023.
Okay. One final question, Swapnil. Globally, the creator economy is estimated to be worth over $100 billion. It is a nascent ecosystem in India, but it is growing exponentially. What is your big ask from Budget 2023 that will further lead to growth for the sector?
So for Budget 23, my big ask will be tax incentives for content creators to encourage growth and investment in this industry, and also promotion of Indian creator economy globally to attract international investment and collaboration opportunities.
Okay, so tax incentives for the creators is the big ask. Swapnil, many thanks for joining us on Startup Street, and we wish you the very best for all your expansion plans.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
On that note, it is time for us to head into a short break. But coming up next, Beacon Stack, a SaaS startup, raised $25 million recently in a Series A round. A special conversation with the co-founder and CTO of the startup on the company's expansion plan and more. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still with us on Startup Street. Now, Beaconstack, a SaaS startup, raised $25 million recently in a Series A round. The round was led by Telescope Partners with participation from existing investor Axel. The new funding will enable Beaconstack to further develop its platform, build a world-class team, and ultimately enable new and existing customers to adopt QR codes as a means to create personal connections with a wide audience at scale. Joining us now to discuss the fundraise and the company's growth plan is Ravi Pratap, the co-founder and CTO of Beaconstack. Also with me, my colleague Ritu. Ravi, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Now, you're a QR code customer engagement platform. So talk to us about what exactly it is that you do. How are you creating value for your customers?
First of all, thanks for having me on the show, Arundhati. So what we do is actually make it possible for businesses who want to use QR codes, right? So nowadays, QR codes are everywhere. You use them for payments, you use them to scan information that may be on a poster or on your newspaper. And what we do is help businesses manage the QR code itself and the content that you see when you scan the QR code. So essentially, if you need a QR code, you can use our platform, generate it, send it off for printing and so on.
Right.
And then you can track all the analytics around it. So you can see how there's engagement with your QR code in the physical world.
All right. So speaking about the engagement, talk to me about your revenue model. Do you make money per code or per engagement? How does it work?
Yeah. So fundamentally, we make, so we are a SaaS company, B2B SaaS, so we sell directly to businesses.
Right.
It's a subscription model. So we charge on an annual basis for the use of our platform, but it's linked to the total number of QR codes that you need to deploy. And we also link it to, for example, if you need multiple users to have access to the platform, you may be a big company, let's say FedEx or Hilton or somebody, and you need maybe 100 people in your organization to use it. So we link it to all of those parameters. So number of QR codes, number of user seats, and so on.
Ravi, hi, this is Ritu. You're working with about 20,000 clients now. How many more are you looking to add, say, by the end of this year? And, besides this QR code model, are you looking at any kind of diversification, or is that going to continue to be the focus area for you?
Yeah, so definitely as far as the QR code platform is concerned, today we have over 25,000 businesses around the world that use us. And we actually have a dual model here. So we have a model where you can sign up for our self-service platform at any point. You can just come to our website, swipe a credit card and start using it. But in terms of where we're headed and the growth, we are looking to actually do three things with this new funding. One is we want to expand in our product portfolio. So we see a lot of opportunity in QR codes for digital business cards, QR codes for inventory tracking, asset management. There are many, many different use cases where QR codes are really useful. And so our plan is to offer products in those areas. Second is on the people front, we're looking to actually more than double the size of our company. We are today in India and the US as well as in the Philippines. And our plan is to more than, I would say, increase our headcount by about 100 people, roughly, from where we are today. And then lastly, markets. We're today looking to expand the number of markets that we can reach, multiple geographies and many more businesses. So today, there are 25,000 businesses. We'd like to make that a large multiple of that number because we really think that we can access a global market with the funding we have today.
So largely that $25 million that you raised, you're going to be using for the expansion that you just spelled out for us. Where will that get you in terms of financials, in terms of profitability, in terms of revenue? Where do you think you'll be in the next year or so?
Yeah, so in terms of numbers, I can't talk about it specifics in terms of where we'll be, but we're looking to triple our revenue over the course of this year. So we did that already once last year. Our ARR, the annual recurring revenue of our platform, tripled last year from January to December 2022. We'd be looking to triple again this year because we're just seeing so much demand in so many different markets. And we think with our product-led growth model that we have, we can actually achieve that. So triple is the goal. Let's see, maybe we can surpass it too.
So trying to triple your revenues there. All right, I just wanted to quickly ask you, your largest market is the US, but what's your plan for India? Are you looking to expand your presence out here? Because the QR code market out here is pretty big. So why aren't you looking at the India market as much as the US?
So honestly, we do have a lot of demand in India, Arundhati. In fact, we get a lot of traffic, a lot of trials on our website from businesses in India, and we see that there's tremendous demand. One of the things we plan to do is definitely really focus on the India market as well, understand how we can really increase our market share here and get larger businesses and businesses that want to use QR codes at scale and use it for all the things that you can do from an analytics and tracking standpoint and customer engagement. We think India is an important market. So we do plan to increase our market share here and tap into the demand that's coming from the India market today.
All right, Ravi, thanks very much for sharing your thoughts and your plans on expanding in the India market and overseas. On that note, we're going to wrap up this edition of Startup Street. But stay with us, more news and updates will continue on the other side.